We talk about it a lot, quarterbacks, and it's just one of those things. We're going to go to Ryan first. How many games is the backup quarterback, whoever that person may be, how many games is that person going to play in the 12 regular season games, Ryan?
I'll go.
This does not mean a starter. This just means
I'll go half
plays.
of them.
6.
I'll go half of them.
All right.
I,
Why?
I, because you just look down the schedule and there should be around that many games where it's not close by the end of the third quarter. And around the end of the third quarter and those blowouts is typically when the second guy goes in. That's kind of what we've seen at least last year. That I think Carson Beck came in at the end of the third quarter more than once. So I mean, they should blow out like at least a handful of those teams. So I'll say about half of the games.
What? How's he wrong, Matt?
Well, he's not. I would actually say 8 out of 12. But I mean,
Okay.
that's maybe being a little too optimistic, I guess. But I think Kirby wants to see these guys play. He likes them all. And I think the number 2 guy, whether it's Brock or Gunner, they've been in the system for a little bit, and they
You have
should be pretty
anointed
good
Carson
quarterbacks.
Beck.
Oh,
You have anointed Carson Beck the starter.
I will. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if he's playing for
if
Coach
Kirby
DeBray,
won't, Matt will.
yeah. Hey, Kirby's not going to like this video. I know he's watching it, but I mean,
Taking notes, I'm sure.
yeah, a bit of Carson guy. I've been on the Carson Beck train since I saw him play live. I've talked about that a lot. It's his time, and I do think Brock is going to play a good bit. If he's the number 2, it could be Gunner, but I think he really likes these 3 quarterbacks. And like Ryan said, there's going to be plenty of games where they're going to be blowing teams out. So maybe he doesn't come in against Florida or Tennessee or South Carolina, maybe not Ole Miss, but I think they should be playing a pretty good bit. And a lot of these games, I guess you want to call it garbage time, or even if they're just handing the ball off for the final 2 drives of the game, right? I think it's important to get that number 2 in because Carson's leaving next year, right? So you want to get that guy as much experience as possible. And I think Carson probably played in more games than people realize. I don't have it up right now, but
7.
in a significant, so I don't think 8 is out of the ordinary. So I'm going to go with 8 out of 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think immediately you see Tennessee, Martin, Ball State, UAB, and Vanderbilt. Those are certain that those guys are going to play. After that, it's trickier. I mean, I think, I don't know what to expect from Auburn this year. South Carolina, we'll see. I think 2 guys could play in the Carolina game just because they're still in the process of sort of ending the quarterback competition. So I would say, does the backup play? Yeah, but maybe not because it's a blowout. So I'd say the first 4 games for sure is maybe a strong word. And then Vanderbilt, that gets you to 5. After that, I mean, is Missouri going to hang around with Georgia and Athens? Is Kentucky going to hang around with Georgia and Athens? There's a lot of opportunities to get to 8. Um, at Tech could be tougher this, coming time. I mean, we saw the Jackets play pretty well in Athens this past year. I don't think Carson played in that game, but he might have. I'll be getting to that in a moment. But I think that your global point, Matt, is completely correct, which is, hey, they're going to want to develop guys as much as they can. They played Stetson Bennett against South Carolina in 2021. Now, people forget that, but they did, and that was when it was JT's team for sure. But he had earned his way on there.
Yeah, and again, this will be Brock Vandegrift's 3rd year. It'll be Gunner's 2nd year. Eventually, you want to see what those guys have in a game setting, right? And I think especially if they deserve it and they keep progressing, they keep developing and looking good in practice, why not? So I don't think – I mean, he wanted to do the same with Justin Fields. I think there was a time when he was like, okay, every 4th series, if things are looking good, we want to get Justin in there. He wants these guys to play, and he recruited them. And at the same time, at quarterback, you have to continue to recruit these guys so they don't transfer. At some point, you still have to keep these guys happy, get them in the game. And I would like to see what Brock Vandegrift does year 3 in this system after watching him do really, really well in high school. I mean, kid was a 5-star for a reason. I'm excited to see Brock Vandegrift out there, see what he can do at the end of games. And again, it's not like they're going to be out there throwing the ball, a ton. They could just be in there handing the ball off a little bit with an occasional pass. But I do think they'll get into the game a good bit.
But let me throw it to you, Ryan, with this discussion point. Carson played against Oregon, Samford, South Carolina, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, and TCU. He threw a pass in all of those games except Auburn. People may not remember, but we write about it in Double Dogs, which is where that Auburn game, Georgia was up 21-3 until the first play of the fourth quarter or second play, whatever it was, and that's when Stetson took off and it became a kind of a blowout. But Carson got a lot of looks this past season, which means that the backup, whoever that person may be, is going to get a lot of looks too, I would assume. Am I wrong?
No, I think, yeah, I mean, that's the way I view it. I think that it'll be similar, and they're going to beat up on at least half of those teams, and you're going to get the second string coming in and throwing passes. That particular game was the one where he really showed off his arm a few times.
No question.
So
yeah.
I think you're going to see it early too. Like those first few games, they should just be beating up on people, and I think you're going to get to see that second guy. Like I think you'll see all three of them. I think if Gunner's the 3, which is probably going to happen, I think that he's going to play at some point, even if it's just a drive where he's handing the ball off. I think that he will play as well.
Yeah, he needs to, Matt. I mean, Ryan and I have talked about the quarterbacks a lot lately, with understandably so, because it's a curious thing right now. We don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be going into the fall, and even if we do, 2016, the starter didn't finish the season. 2017, the starter didn't finish the season. 2020, 2021. So all of these, what Jake Fromm and Stetson did in 18, 19, and 22, as it turns out, is not the majority of what's happened in the time that Kirby's been the head coach. He has had a lot of quarterback shuffling. He's just not had a lot of quarterback competitions in the spring. So, I don't know. There's a lot of opportunity, Matt, to play some games here for the Dogs early for these guys to get in there, and it would be nice to see Gunner Stockton. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, if they play to the Georgia standard, right, that's where you beat your opponent in the, down in the ground over and over. You should be up by plenty, especially with a lot of these teams on their schedule. So at the end of the day, he wants to blow them out, get younger guys in, and that includes the quarterback. So if they play to the standard and the way that they should be playing, the way Kirby wants them to play, there should be, like you said, a lot of opportunity for both of the backups, whoever they may be, to get in the game and show what they can do. They're all good quarterbacks. We've all seen them in person. We know what they can do. And I think Kirby is really happy. I think he said that the other day. He's like, I like all three. They can all play. Yeah, it's because you recruited them all, because they are good quarterbacks. So, yeah, they're all really good. I would like to see them, and I think we are going to see a good bit of the backups this year.
If you'd like this sweatshirt, you can pick it up. The link is down below while you're getting the email. Sign up. Stetson played in 5 games in 2019 as the backup quarterback. He played as the backup quarterback against South Carolina and Vanderbilt in 2021 before he took over the job full time. He also started against UAB in 2021. He played as the backup quarterback in 2020 multiple times. It just gets a little tricky with him. I mean, he played against Mizzou and Cincinnati as the backup. He also played against Arkansas as the backup. So, the backup quarterback has played a lot, and we will see that person play a lot. But Ryan, Matt has anointed, Carson. Carson is the starter. We will get the word to the football offices. That's your early bet as well.
Yeah, I think it's his job to lose, but I like that there's an open competition of sorts, right? At the very minimum, Brock Vandagriff's getting some reps with the ones over the next few weeks, so I think that's good for Carson too, to have someone at his heels. But he's the guy that's been there the longest. I think at this point, from what I've seen, he has the most polished arm, just as far as strength and accuracy and touch and decision making in present time, and just from the last time I've seen all of them throw, that potentially has changed. But he's been in the system and he's been on the field. The other two guys just haven't. It's his job to lose.
We think we have three really good quarterbacks. I'm really excited about all three guys to grow and get better. We will never, I won't say never, that's not right. We will not be live talking about the quarterbacks running around. We have not been live quarterbacks in the 7 years I've been here, so we'll not be live unless we decide we need to. I do look forward to seeing Carson, and Brock getting a lot of action. They'll both rep with the ones. As far as how much, that will play itself out over the course of spring. Gunnar Stockton has come a long way. I'm excited to see what those guys can do. They've been excited about meeting and doing things with Coach Bobo and the offensive staff. I'm excited to see those guys compete and practice. That's a lot of excitement. We'll be here to bring it to you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.